Howdy y'all, and welcome back to Cup of Cheer. Yes, I'm aware December 25th has come and gone, but this is the season of Epiphany. Whether or not you've already put away your Christmas decorations, and whether or not you're aware of what Epiphany is, you're probably aware of it without knowing you're aware of it. You see, Epiphany is the 12 days of Christmas that has been ringing through your ears every year and repeated by Alvin and the Chipmunks over and over and over again. It also doesn't have anything to do with before Christmas, although advertisers do like to use that term before Christmas just to sell things. But in reality, it actually, at least in the Christian tradition, has to do with the representation of the time it took for the Magi or the wise men to find the Christ child. Some countries refer to it in different terms, like Three Kings Day, Epiphany, and many more that I can't think of off the top of my head. But many countries actually do the gift giving on Epiphany. And this video wasn't really to talk about the history and the make and how it all works for everybody else, but rather to talk about what the difference for me is between Advent season, Christmas, and Epiphany. How I tend to celebrate and honor those three things in their own separate yet joint way. I don't know how to say that better, but basically how I honor all of those things together. Advent, to me, the time leading up to Christmas, is this time of joyful anticipation. The weary world rejoices. We have this crazy year that has just kind of nearly come to an end. We're about to finish the year, and at the very end of it all, we're about to celebrate Christmas. And I love that those two kind of collide, because we get this time to rejoice over things despite however the year has been to us. And we have these 25 days leading up to Christmas where we can really amp up this kind of anticipation and this joy and remembrance of this beautiful gift that awaits us. Now, yes, as a Christian, I'm aware that the gift has already come in the form of Christ, but it doesn't change the fact that at Christmas, I feel that idea so much more clearly, so much more alive and present. Though Christ is always alive, it feels more personal, and I love that we have that time to reflect and feel that way about the birth of Christ, about the Savior coming into this world. So to me, those 25 days are this amped up anticipation time. I mean, I also am spending time decorating and wrapping gifts and making gifts sometimes, and so that also adds to this whole energetic buzz that's going on. But in general, it's a bit more energized and busy leading up to Christmas. This anticipation time. Christmas itself is the culmination of all of that, this waiting period, and you get to give and receive of gifts, and you get to be reminded while we read the birth story in our house anyhow. I get to be reminded at Christmas what this time is all about. This thrill of hope. And I love that. I love on Christmas Day how it's this physical representation of this spiritual thing that is so true and yet is sometimes hard to feel. And we get to feel that together as a family on Christmas. Christmas Eve, Christmas, both of those times for me is it's an amazing time for me. And then Epiphany. And what I love about Epiphany is we're not working anymore to make sure that all the gifts are wrapped, or that we bought gifts, or planning going to all the different services that we might have to go to, or parties that we're planning to go to. And you don't have all this preparation, whether it's spiritual or physical, to the big day. The big day has happened. And we've celebrated Christ's come. And now there's this time of like, you don't have places to go, things to do. You have your time with family because many people are off work, off school, whatever it may be, and you can take your time with it. Something that you don't get to do most of the rest of the year, because if they are off of work or off of school, it's maybe one day here and one day there, and then they're gone. But at Christmas, after Christmas, typically, around me anyways, this is the time where I can actually slowly catch up with people. Catch up on how I felt throughout this time of Advent and Christmas, and actually check in with myself and with my family. And both on physical and spiritual aspects, we can really check in with one another in ways that the rest of the year it's kind of harder to do. I also try to block out any kind of doctor's appointments or things like that as much as possible until Epiphany is over, because I want to actually spend that time not thinking about weighted things that the world wants to bombard me with. I like to take that time as a bit sacred, because it is sacred. This was the time when the wise men were journeying to see the Christ child. And I didn't grow up in a church that really celebrated Epiphany in the ways that most European countries and South American countries and even Central American countries really have celebrated and honored Epiphany. And some churches within the United States do honor and celebrate Epiphany. So I didn't grow up with a specific way to celebrate it, which is why I didn't want to talk on how everyone does it, because I just know how I personally did it. And for me, that is to still keep up our Christmas decorations. We've never taken it down before Epiphany was over. And to slow things down and take that time together as a family and as a church family sometimes, and just be more present. So to me, that's the difference between how I honor and celebrate Advent, Christmas Eve and Christmas, and Epiphany. It's more about the pace of things, I guess, but also a little bit more about the expectation versus the arrival, and slowly just embracing it. I'm curious, if you celebrate Epiphany, how do you celebrate it? Do you call it Epiphany? Do you call it something else? I'll try to keep these comments open as long as you can keep your comments respectful and in love. But I'd love to hear from you if you can. How do you celebrate it in your home? Have you ever heard about Epiphany? Or did you possibly think that the 12 days of Christmas really were talking about before Christmas? There's so many other videos that are possible to do around the 12 days of Christmas, the song, and even Epiphany, but this is what I really wanted to focus on tonight. Thank you for watching so far. I hope that this has maybe blessed or encouraged you or made you think. From me and mine, to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and a cup of good cheer. Bye.